red and red.
Red and red. Red and red. Red and red.
My favorite papers that we did this year is actually this past paper because it allowed you to look at a picture and just pretty much write a whole story with your own imagination. And I have a pretty big imagination, so I thought that was really fun.
My favorite writing this year is The Boy with a Drone and The Dog Under the Table because I think I have improved with my writing, and I think I am very good at doing it from pictures. I like how it's pretty easy for me to do all that stuff.
My favorite story we did this year was the one on the plastics, because I really liked being able to write about a problem in the world and like how we can fix it and stuff. So I thought that was cool.
I don't really have a favorite writing, but if I were to choose one, it would be definitely the one we're writing now, where we can just make up our own stuff and we can add everything we want. And I think that's just really cool and really creative for my brain, because I'm really creative in that way. But I definitely like the one that we get to choose a picture and then we get to write anything we want about it. And I like how all our stories will be different. And so yeah, that's probably my favorite, but I like all of them through the mid and end. My starting beginners weren't really great, but that's why I took the writing class, and I think it's really helped.
My favorite paper that I wrote with Miss B's class this year would have been mine called Decisions. It was about the miller, his son, and the donkey paper, and I wrote mine about NC State and such, and Miss B cruelly replaced the mascot logo with a revolting Tar Heel. Anyway, I liked how in this paper we were able to create our own characters, and we could change up the story a bit, which was always fun. And also, we already had the format and pretty much the entire what was going to happen in the story all laid out, so we were able to change the characters. Like I said, I like creating my own characters. Anyway, this was a very fun paper that we did. I'm glad we did it.
My favorite paper is the C paper that I did on the Jeep Gladiator.
I would think my favorite writing story would probably be the one that we're sending into the Wake County. It was just a very fun story to write, and that it was actually long, because when I'm really creative with my stories, I love them to be long, because I just keep wanting to add things to it because my mind just keeps popping with ideas. And I love that it gave us the opportunity to use up to 1,000 words. We got to reference from a picture, and how just all of our minds, when we see these pictures, we process it differently and get to experience the way we see the picture. And that I just really thought it was really fun, and that we could all make it how we wanted it to be.
I'd have to say my favorite writing was probably the story, because you gotta write a story. I could use my imagination pretty much however I wanted, so I thought it was fun.
Did you really like it? You did? You really liked my story?
One of my favorite papers that you have written this year is probably the last one. What I like about it is that you were able to look at a picture and be super creative. I love that you incorporated a lesson. I love that what you thought it would be like is not what it was in the end, and how the story gives a lot of detail about what you did, but also just the lessons that you learned along the way. And I think that stories are really good and really interesting when in the end you can find a lesson that you learned.
At Trip, I've really seen that you've put in a lot of effort to increase your quality in your papers this year. Also, you do have a creative mind, and it is shown through the characters and themes and plots that you've chosen to put into your work. So good job!
I just really liked how Trip put in so much adjectives and quality verbs this season through his stories, and just how He had so many strong and intelligent things that kept you wanting to read his story, and just interesting and intriguing.
Something I really enjoyed about Tripp's writing is how he had a lot of humor in it, and how it just changed a story that maybe the topic was a little bit boring, and it would just change it into something that was more interesting and exciting to read.
So we all got to be editors for Tripp's papers this year, and we are so proud of you, Tripp.
Good job.
Good job.
Nathan can be kind of quiet and reserved in regards to school, but when he does his writing, you can really see what's going on in his mind, and his creativity comes out, his understanding of the world and life and relationships, and he develops all this in the characters. And in particular, this last story that he wrote, I think he ended the year well with this one. I found myself really being intrigued and endeared to the characters of his story right from the first paragraph. So I have been excited to see every single writing that Nathan has done this year. They just get better and better and better, and I feel like he's ending the year on a great note.
Sydney wrote a story called Don't Complain, and Josh and I have a critique of this story. So she read the story, and she describes all the weird things that you can eat in other countries. Josh, would you eat chocolate silkworms? No. Okay, I don't think I would either. So I think it was very fascinating to hear what is popular and common in all the other cultures, not as much in our culture. I would never eat any of this stuff ever, ever, ever. But I think Sydney would. I think she would try something if it had chocolate on it. I'm pretty sure she would try it.
Not so
But anyway, it was a great paper. She used all her dress ups, and this child's being very weird. And I really liked it, and it makes me not want to complain about eating broccoli.
I really liked your story about the Jeep Gladiator. I liked how you gave backups for your claims and how it was full of information, and it all flowed very nicely. And I learned a lot after reading your story about the Jeep Gladiator, because before I didn't know anything about the Jeep Gladiator except for that it was made by Jeep. But now I know that it's a 4x4. So, thank you.
So Ethan just read to me one of his creative writings, and I just loved it. It was fantastic. I loved how he used so many describing words and great adjectives and strong verbs to really make me feel like I'm in the middle of the story with the characters in the trenches. And I loved how much he has grown in his writing skills this year, and in his creativity, and just his love of writing in general.
I thought it was a great story, lots of mystery.
Yes.
It was very easy to follow, and it was fun, and it had a surprise ending. I thought it was good.
Where did Barney come from?
No, he was just walking around.
And does Barney the purple dinosaur bleed purple?
I didn't think of that when I made it.
And what happened to Tina? Did she get hurt?
No, she landed on his stomach.
Did her friends ever catch up with her?
Hi Grayson, I just want to tell you how proud I was of you for all of your writing accomplishments this year. You started out not really sure of yourself, and you've become so confident and so capable. I've seen big improvement, and I'm so proud of the writer that you have become. I love your creativity. Keep writing, keep expressing yourself. Love you.
The essay Tom and Jerry is one of the best papers I've read in my entire life. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, gripped by excitement and terror. The violence depicted in the essay reflected the accurate portrayal of a war between a cat and a brave young mouse.
I have improved by working hard, doing my sentence openers, and doing my dress-ups all by myself.
Yay!
I'm so proud of you. You worked so hard this year and you did such a good job. I love you.
An IEW skill that I improved on was making better word choices to make my paper sound better.
I learned a lot, but I can't do all that. I learned how to do a C paragraph, I learned some new dress-ups, and I got a better understanding of a topic sentence and a clencher. I learned of taking more notes of stories.
I would say probably the writing skill I most improved this year was probably independence writing. I went to a school before this that had the same writing program, but everything just moved so quickly, and I just felt like I always needed help, and it was just really hard. But I did really enjoy this year how we got to take things a little slower, that we got to learn different concepts of writing, and it helped us just process and learn differently. And I just really did enjoy getting to learn how to be more independent, because it made my stories feel like more my own versus people helping me.
A skill that I improved on this year was being more descriptive with quality adjectives, LYs, and who, whiches, and all kinds of stuff. But I think being more descriptive with your papers allows the reader to understand more of what you're saying, and it also just makes your paper more interesting.
I really grew in a lot of skills of writing, but I have 3 that I really grew in. Miss B really helped me with my love for writing, and now I really actually like writing stories. And my second one is I'm able really to develop the characters a lot better, and the flow of my story works well. And my third is when I'm writing, my dress-ups come really naturally, and I don't have to go back and add them in, which is really nice. And I learned a lot of words in Miss B's class, and I really like this class a lot. It really helped me with my writing.
A writing technique that I learned this year was the C paragraph, or the subject or statement, example, explain. So I really like this pattern because you can use it for different essays, and it's a very easy but somewhat persuasive lineup.
My favorite writing skill I did this year is the C paragraph. I like the C paragraph because it was new for me, and it helped me really structure my sentences well. The C paragraph stands for, first you have topic, and then you have statement, and then you have example, and then explain. And I think this was a really fun skill I learned this year.
Hi, I'm Trip Barnes with Fox News, and today I'll be interviewing my friend Trip Barnes. Hi guys, I'm Trip, like he said. Trip has been in a writing and literature class this year, and I wanted to ask him a little bit about the literature portion. So, in literature, of course, you read, and I wanted to know what his first favorite book is. First favorite book is The One and Only Ivan by Katherine Applegate. In this book, a gorilla is an artist, and the author writes it kind of like a poem in the way of how short the chapters are. And it's really interesting and entertaining.
The One and Only Ivan, I like that book because it had a great setting and described where everything was.
I'm really enjoying Hoot right now. I love that they stand up for what they think is right for like animals. I just really love that it has so many characters in it that just they all have a good role in it, and that I really do like that it has 2 different kind of parts that we'll go back up to, but now it just feels like it merges in a little bit and you're starting to see the whole story put together, and I really do enjoy Hoot.
My favorite book is, one of them, is Hoot My favorite spot in the book is when Beatrice trusts Roy with her secrets and her brother's secrets.
One of my favorite books that I've read this year is Hoot. In Hoot, they do a lot of pranks that are by far worse than what I would do, like putting alligators in a porta-john and spray painting a policeman's car. And this was a really enjoyable book because there's always something happening, so it makes you never want to put the book down, so you just never want to stop reading it.
My last favorite book is Hoot. I like the characters, and yet they do a lot of mischief and not a lot of the good things. I just like to know that they are trying their best trying to save these owls. Like, for Mullet Fingers, he's trying to do whatever. He doesn't care. He wants to save the owls.
My third book is El Defo. I like how Cece wears a bathing suit everywhere she goes, and I like how her brother and sister got out of the hospital. Her brother put on a scavenger hunt for her and gave her like a little stuffed animal to make her feel better.
One of my favorite books from this class was Number the Stars. I really like Number the Stars because the person in this book really showed bravery, and she showed friendship and love. The way she showed bravery is she helped her friend, who was Jewish, during World War II, get across to Sweden so she would be saved. And she showed really a lot of friendship and love in this act of kindness. And I just really liked this book.
Hello. Number the Stars, it was my favorite book since we read it, because I like history a lot, and I got to learn a lot about the Holocaust, because my sister as well, she also told me a lot about it after reading the book, and I just really liked it.
My second favorite would be The Crossover. My family is a big basketball family. We love basketball. I just love so much the passion in that book and just the relationships in the family, and that even though he felt a little jealous towards his brother a little bit, that they still worked it out in the end, and that even though it had some sad parts, it was just really a good book, especially if you really love stuff like that, and that I just really love the passion in it.
My second favorite book is Crossover. I like how Josh and his brother plays basketball with his dad because they have sort of like a connection.
My third one was The Crossover. I thought it was a really cool book about how it is to play sports and stuff. And I thought it was really cool about how the main character's dad had like a chance to be on the Lakers and like a professional basketball team, and just how the story was.
I like Mr. Popper's Penguins because the family started at port and became rich with all the penguins. I also liked how the penguins destroyed their house.
So, a second favorite book I would also like to know. My second favorite book is Mr. Popper's Penguins. Mr. Popper's Penguins is like all of the books I will be saying, entertaining and interesting. But I like how a small town dude comes to adopting at least 12 penguins and starts a circus and all the crazy things he does. Thank you very much.
The second one was Mr. Popper's Penguins. I thought it was cool how we got to get exotic animals as pets, and I liked how it showed what would happen if you had penguins as pets, and I really liked how the penguins had like their own personalities and stuff.
I really liked Island of the Blue Dolphins. It was probably my second favorite book of this whole class. And the character in this book, I thought she showed some character traits of survival. She really survived and thrived really well. She showed cooperation. She kind of like cooperated with the other animals that lived on the island, and she really showed friendship because she even had friendship with the dog that had killed her brother, which I thought this was a really cool book.
of how she was surviving all alone on this one island.
I learned from Island of the Blue Dolphin that you can make a fence out of a whale hide that you find in the ground. You can make a spear out of a sea elephant tooth that you find from a dead animal. And some tribes don't let women make weapons for defenses.
My second favorite book that we read in this class was called Island of the Blue Dolphins, and my favorite thing about it is that she's surviving in the woods, and I can kind of relate to that because I'm a Boy Scout and I'm kind of going through that also, that kind of situation thing. And she makes some really cool weapons in the book, like a bow and a spear, and she also makes her own house out of like sticks and wood and weaves them together, and I thought that was really cool.
Another book I liked is Island of the Blue Dolphins. I don't know why I really liked it. I just found it interesting. I just want to know why there were so many deaths in it. Like, why does everybody just die? And I just liked how there was like an adventure in it for her.
Hey, so the first book I really liked this year was Stone Fox, because I love books with dogs in it. And then I also love how the dog helped the boy throughout the entire book, and I just thought that was cool.
My first favorite book was Follow My Leader. I really liked that it could be a true story, it could possibly be true, and that we got to see through a blind kid's eyes, and that he wasn't blind his whole life, and that how it just changed his perspective on things so much differently. And that I love that we got to spend so much time on that book, and that we got to speak to actually people who were like almost blind and blind too. It just was really nice to see how they see through things, and that they still do so much even though they are blind. And that was my first favorite.
My second favorite book was Follow My Leader because it has a great story plot starting with him getting blind, getting a friend, and then becoming friends with the person that made him blind.
My third favorite book is Follow My Leader, and my favorite part about that is how he perseveres through being blinded in an accident with firecrackers. In this book, he goes on a camp out, which was also a really interesting part of the book because they go swimming, and his friend actually gets a cramp in the water and cannot swim, and his dog ends up saving his friend from drowning, and then his dog actually becomes the mascot of the Boy Scout troop that they're in when they're camping. And I thought that was just a really fun book.
I liked Follow My Leader because it told me most of the blind people's stories and how they lived with being blind. I also learned how people were treating the other blind people.
I really like Follow My Leader because the dog, Leader, and his owner, Jimmy, who was blind, they really showed friendship towards each other. And Leader he seemed like a really kind dog. And the cool thing that when Jimmy went blind in his accident, the guy who had made him blind, he accepted him back in his friend circle. So that was really cool. He even adapted really well to his circumstances, and I thought Leader helped him do that.
Well, lastly, last but not least, I would like to know what your third favorite book is. Third favorite book is Follow My Leader. In Follow My Leader, a boy is blinded and he has to adapt to how his disabilities and such. And I think it's such a really cool, inspiring story. And also in the story, he gets a dog who helps him through the hard times. I think it's just a really inspiring and fun story. Thank you, Trip. Well, that's all for today. Trip Barnes, Fox News, signing off.
The egg toss for the headless chicken. Me and Peyton hit a tree with the egg.
I hit a crook and almost barfed it up.
Great. Oh, Gray, are you okay?
during the disgusting or delicacy paper.
I ate my cricket before I was supposed to.
I walked condemned in darkness, but your mercy brought new life, and in your loving kindness raised me up with Christ and made me righteous. You have brought me back with the riches of your amazing grace and relentless love. I'm made alive forever with you, life forever. By your grace I'm saved. By your grace I'm saved. Lord, you are the light that broke the darkness.
I haven't.
Right.
My third favorite video. No, not video. No, not video. No, not video.
My. Oh, very long.
My first favorite book was Follow My Lead.
Who knew 30 seconds would be so hard?
Alright, you're terrible. Alright, you're terrible. Alright, you're terrible.